Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week, but before we get to that, we are in the final weeks of voting for the CBC Awards. We've been nominated for 3 this year. Best Comic Book / Omnibus Review. We're a comic book review channel. Number 2, we've been nominated for Best Live Stream for Rockin' Robbie Live. Number 3, I've been nominated for the Hall of Fame. Please go to cbcawards.org. It's in the description down below. Go there and vote for whomever you choose worthy of your vote. But if you vote for PCP, that's even better. All right, now on to the pick of the week. And this week's pick of the week, Absolute Batman issue number 12. Again, I think every single issue of Absolute Batman during this Abomination story has made the pick of the week. And all I can say is I am a sucker for the character of Bane, and I love what Scott Snyder and artist Nick Dragotta are doing with the character of Bane in Absolute Batman. Now, Absolute Batman, I've always said, I said last year, I've said it throughout most of the year, is not to me the strongest of the Absolute DC books. I love Absolute Wonder Woman. I love and adore and cherish Absolute Martian Manhunter, and Absolute Superman keeps growing on me with some of its really gnarly reinterpretations of the characters. Absolute Batman to me was one of those books, kind of like a lot of Snyder works in the DC universe over the last few years from Metal and onwards, where you just kind of gotta let go and embrace the ridiculousness of the books, right? And so I found a way to enjoy Absolute Batman. It's a Batman who's way bigger than he should be. He's supposed to have no resources, but he's got a giant Batmobile that is the biggest of all time. And you know what? I can turn my brain off. I can have fun with that stuff. But now we're getting into this Absolute Bane arc called Abomination, and it's just been slaying. It's just been killing. It's been breaking the competition, one might say. I love this book because, first of all, Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta, their vision of Bane, truly awesome. Now, Bane is one of my favorite Batman characters, probably because he was probably the most significant Batman villain that's been introduced within my lifetime. Right? I wasn't there for the introduction of the Joker, or the Riddler, or Two-Face, or Killer Croc, or hell, even Mad Hatter, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, all this stuff, but I was there reading the beginnings of Bane. When Batman Venom came out, it blew my mind. When Batman Nightfall came out, it rocked my world. I am a fan, a huge fan of Bane. If you don't believe that, just go look at my thoughts on Dark Knight Rises when we did the Dark Knight trilogy for Action Fest last year here on PCP Movie Night. That being said, I love what Snyder and Dragotta are doing with the character of Bane. But also within this story, we are truly making something out of this new absolute world of Batman, right? So one of the things in this run of Batman, Absolute Batman, is that most of who we would consider Batman's rogues galleries are actually Batman's friends. Oswald Cobblepot, Harvey Dent, Edward Nygma, Selina Kyle. These are people that Batman, Bruce Wayne in particular, has a very deep connection and relationship with. And out of nowhere, they are now fully forming into the Rogues because of the influence and the machinations of one Bane. I love Bane. He is a physical, mental, and spiritual threat to Batman that gets delivered here in Absolute Batman in exceptional fashion with great writing and really fantastic, utterly fantastic artwork from Nick Dragotta. Y'all, this book is awesome. It's absolutely freaking awesome, and I'm loving it. I am so loving it. I'm glad I stuck it out with this book. I have enjoyed it, but this Absolute Batman Abomination story has really taken a rather gnarly, interesting, and captivating turn. And this issue in particular, I mean, It just might be one of my favorites of Absolute Batman, and this arc alone is putting it in major contention for one of my favorite books of 2025. Because you know what? It's September. It's time for all of us comic book YouTubers to start thinking about our best of the year list. Now, I know we got a few months to go. There may be some surprises. There may be some shifts. There may be some changes. But right now, Absolute Batman is absolutely killing it with this Abomination arc, which is anything other than an abomination to me. Enough of that. I love this book. It's the pick of the week yet again. Also from DC Comics, we have Court, which stands for Children of the Round Table, issue number 1. This is a new one from Tom Taylor and Danielle De Niculo. This is the same team that worked on Power Rangers and really made Power Rangers a vibrant, interesting, and must-read book. Now, those days are a little bit behind us, but it's cool to see them teamed up again. They also worked on that Boom book. I think it was called 7 Secrets or something like that. What happened to that book? I don't feel like it really came full circle into completing its story, but regardless, here we are with this book, Children of the Round Table. I liked this book. Honestly, I wasn't looking forward to reading it, but I liked it. It's a really great young readers, kind of an all readers, all ages type book. It's about a young group of kids who this meteor lands while they're out there hanging out, this group of friends. A meteor lands and it's got a giant sword in it. It's Excalibur. Somebody lifts it. One of the friends lifts the sword. The meteor blows up and it's filled with all of these different artifacts, all of these different weapons from the King Arthur days, from the King Arthur mythology, from the Knights of the Round Table. And each weapon is imbued with the spirit of somebody. So like Excalibur has the spirit of Arthur, another weapon has Galahad, another weapon has Lancelot, another weapon has Gawain, like all this kind of stuff, and they then become the weapons and the force of ability and I'm missing the word right now, but where they're teaching somebody like a mentor. It's like the mentorship of these characters. I thought the first issue was pretty cool, very light, very easy, but this is something that I think most of your kids might like. So if you got kids, I don't. I got 2 cats. I read it along with them. They didn't care at all. However, you have kids, they might like this book. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to spend some quality time with them and introduce them to the art of reading through comic books. So there you go. I liked that book. Then we got Red Hood issue number 1, the debut of a new Red Hood book. This is not an all-ages book. This is, in fact, a mature reader's book. 17 plus is what DC says. So if your comic shop separates books out by rating or by age appropriateness, you might want to go look for this in the mature reader's title. Not super violent, not super gory, but it does have some language and it does have some more, it's not quite Vertigo level, but it's definitely more adult than your typical Bat Family fare. That being said, I've never been the biggest fan of Jason Todd, never been the biggest fan of Red Hood. People have worked with that character that made me like it, but for the most part, I'm not really down for it. This book was alright. The big spotlight to me is Jeff Spoke's artwork. I love Jeff Spoke's artwork, mostly his line work. His storytelling is decent. There's kind of a lot of repeated panels, a lot of little differences. It's kind of reminiscent at time of some of the way that Bendis may have formulated his layouts back when he was doing his books, like Jinx and Torso and stuff like that. So I did like the book. I thought it was okay. It didn't completely win me over. But basically, Jason Todd, after the events of Hush 2, which hasn't finished, we're not going to get back onto that crash out, as everybody's calling it. But Red Hood number 1 follows Jason Todd post Hush 2. And he's now, it seems like he's in New Orleans or a New Orleans type city within the DC universe. He's there doing his own thing. Huntress is there. He's got a past there. It was interesting enough, but it didn't quite deliver enough to really pull me into this book. Like I said, Spokes' artwork was definitely the highlight for me here on this book, but it wasn't altogether bad. It was actually pretty decent. Then we got Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum issue number 2 from DC Black Label, which means that it's not tied into continuity. But this is Martin Morazzo, Chris O'Halloran, good old Neon, and writer W. Maxwell Prince. That's right, the exact same creative team of Ice Cream Man doing a Superman book. The basic premise is this. Superman finds out there's more different types of kryptonite out there than he realized. So he decides, with the help of his friend Bruce, aka Batman, that he's going to test these different kryptonites on him to see what happens. In the first issue, I loved it. It made the pick of the week. It was one of the picks of the month. We talked about it on the monthly comic book review. Definitely check that out if you missed it, because that show is one of the best shows we do here on the channel, because it's me, along with some of the absolute best comic book reviewers here on the comic book YouTube space, talking about our favorite comic books of the month. We brought up the first issue of this. I'm sure we're going to bring up the second issue, because now we got this cobalt kryptonite that makes Superman grow. But then Lex Luthor gets involved and adds a complication to that. I love it. Imagine this. Giant kaiju rampaging Superman across Metropolis with Batman and the rest of the Justice League, or the Justice Gang. I like that name better. Guy Gardner, call me. Anyway, that being said, this book is quirky, it is wonky, it's not taking itself seriously, but at the same time, it's really standing on the shoulders of the giants, of people who have done very interesting off-the-wall stuff with Superman before. I'm thinking Grant Morrison, Alan Moore. There have been some great writers who've had some interesting takes on this character throughout the years, and Superman Kryptonite Spectrum is doing the same thing. I love it. It's silly, it's wonky, but at the same time, it's not too silly, but it is still very wonky. Then we got Batman Dark Patterns here with issue number 10, kicking off the final of the 3-issue arcs, 4 of them, for this 12-issue series. It's written by Dan Watters with artwork by Hayden Sherman. First of all, Hayden's artwork, absolutely splendid. Hayden is one of my absolute favorite artists. I love how every single project that they work on, they adapt their style to exactly what is needed for the tone of that book. That being said, Dan Watters is embracing the strangeness, sometimes the near high strangeness of Batman comics from the 90s. So you got Ventriloquist, you got new characters like the Wounded Man, you've got Hayden Sherman doing an amazing job with the layouts, and you've got really interesting stories that they're just 3-issue arcs, but they've all come together here for this final arc to deliver something truly exceptional. There's a arsonist out there on the loose in Gotham, and it's not Firefly, though Firefly does have a connection to this character, and even though you may feel like you know where this book is going, you don't, because Dan Watters knows what he's doing. He knows how to tell a story. He knows how to structure a story, especially with Sherman on the layouts and the page composition and the storytelling. It is absolutely amazing, and honestly, this is one of my favorite Batman books of the last 10 years, if not my favorite of this year. But then again, now it's running up against Absolute Batman, so we shall see what happens at the end of the year. Then we got Action Comics here with 1090. Mark Waid is here on the book with Skylar Patridge. They are continuing their look at the Superboy year, right? The time when Clark had just discovered his powers. He's in Smallville. He's still in high school. He decides he wants to be a superhero. He becomes Superboy. Captain Comet's involved. His budding love for Lana Lang is involved. So this is like the best version of the show Smallville I've ever read, because in my opinion, Smallville kind of blows. I know a lot of people are fans of it. Me, I'm not one. However, Michael Rosenbaum, pretty great Lex Luthor. That being said, if you want to see some really grounded, interesting work on the first year of Superboy year 1, that's basically what's going on here. It's interesting. Also, they're using one of my favorite characters, Captain Comet, but they're using him in a way that I'm just like, man, really? But maybe there's more to the story. Anyway, it's decent. It's solid. Then we get Aquaman issue number 9. I was really kind of vibing with Jeremy Adams' run on Aquaman. It was tied into the whole DC All-In saga, the Dark Side bit, Omega, all this stuff. Aquaman winds up in another reality, goes through an Omega gate. He gets powered up with the power of the blue. Think Swamp Thing is the green, Animal Man is the red, Arcane, whatever the hell his name, the villain of Swamp Thing. Why can't I remember? He's powered up by the black. Well, there's the blue. That's like aquatic life, the sense of water, of ocean, right? The life force imbuing the oceans and marine life, right? Like, so Aquaman's kind of powered up, though it's powers we've seen before. Anyway, Jeremy Adams has been doing he's made some decisions with this story that I haven't really quite been sold on. And that continues on here in issue number 9, though Aquaman comes back to the DC Universe proper, sets himself up to rejoin the Justice League Unlimited just in time for DCKO, which I have read the first issue of DCKO. We'll be talking about that Sunday night on Rockin' Robbie Live. I don't really want to spill my thoughts right now, but that being said, Aquaman is back. There have been some changes in his world that I don't quite agree with, but then Jeremy Adams pulls the rug out from under me, and maybe things aren't quite what they seem. This was an okay issue of Aquaman. Same thing with Green Lantern Corps, issue number 8. Green Lantern Corps, it's a solid book. I like Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern run very much. I think it's as consistent as his run on Flash was. And Green Lantern Corps is co-written by him as well as another writer. I think it's Morgan Hampton. And we're basically building up this Starbreaker story. It's a big crossover. It is essential to read Green Lantern Corps if you're reading Green Lantern. Yeah, I know we can roll our eyes and that could be annoying, but this is actually pretty solid stuff. The emotional spectrum is back because the Green Lantern Corps and others have found the entities beyond the source wall. They have freed them, and now they're going up against the Starbreaker supremacy. This is a solid issue of Green Lantern Corps. I thought it was decent. Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, A League for Justice, issue number 3. It's alright. It's alright. I guess it's okay. I didn't really like the first issue of the series. I thought the second issue was better. Third issue, I'm just kind of like, whatever. At this point, I'm kind of like checked out of the book. First of all, Batman, Gotham by Gaslight by Brian Augustin and Mike Mignola, and I believe P. Craig Russell was the inker on that book. That's an amazing book. It's Batman in the Victorian age against Jack the Ripper. This, even though it's called Batman Gotham by Gaslight, it's not a Batman book. It's a Superman book. It's a Justice League book within that Victorian age of the Gotham by Gaslight world, and I like that, but at the same time, it's just not, I don't know, it's missing something. It's interesting, it's cool, it's an Elseworlds, but for me, it just doesn't quite 100% deliver. And I was kind of like checked out, especially here on issue number 3 of A League for Justice. Let's jump over to Marvel. We got The Punisher, issue number 1. It's a new Punisher book. Punisher, Frank Castle proper, is back, and that's cool. This is written by Benjamin Percy with artwork by somebody. Is it Juan something? Oh man, where are the credits at? So first of all, this is a Red Band book. Julius Ota is the artist, and I like it. It is fine. It spotlights the Kingpin, but this is a Red Band book, so it's polybagged. You got to tear it open because it's R-rated, but it's mostly because of the gore. Like, Red Hood is not polybagged. It has more language and thematic material that's a little bit more adult. This one just kind of has some bloody bits and gore and skinned people and burned alive people, and that's cool, and I like it, but I'm happy that Frank Castle is back. He's back. He has no memory of who he is or where he comes from, but he just remembers his techniques of being the Punisher. You got the Kingpin involved, Tombstone involved. There's an interesting twist here at the end. I liked it. I think most Frank Castle Punisher fans who have been missing this character within the Marvel Universe will respond solidly to this. It wasn't 100% like super awesome, groundbreaking, but it was a breath of fresh air for Frank Castle fans, I would say. Then we have X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha, issue number 1, a one-shot, because we're celebrating 30 years of the Age of Apocalypse, and we're doing this across a couple different events right now. One of them is X-Men of Apocalypse, written by Jeff Loeb with artwork by Simone DeMeo. Artwork's pretty solid, story's okay. It's So at the end of the Age of Apocalypse, the universe, after they thought that they were going to change the universe back to the proper Marvel 616 universe, turns out that's not what actually happens. They're still alive, still figuring out what's going on, why didn't the reality timeline change, and they're trying to figure that out, and at the same time, now we're dealing with some of these characters and their relationship dynamics post-Age of Apocalypse. So, like, hardcore Age of Apocalypse fans, you're going to like this because we're going to go back to that world, but it doesn't really do anything super exciting. If you're not familiar with the Age of Apocalypse and not into that story from like 1995 like I am, you might be checked out a little bit. In fact, I was so up the ass of Age of Apocalypse back in 1995, and even now it's alright. It's just kind of okay. Then we got the Undead Iron Fist issue number 1, a new Iron Fist series. Danny Rand is dead, but now he's back from the dead. He's in hell. He's made a deal with some kind of entity. Now he's back on Earth, and his main task now is using his new hell-found abilities to take out demons and send them back to hell. It's okay. It's alright. It's not what I think most of us want out of an Iron Fist book, but it is nice that Danny Rand is back. I thought the book was just okay. Then we have Imperial War Nova Centurion, issue number 1, written by Jed MacKay and Jonathan Hickman. It's written by Jed MacKay. Some ideas, I'm sure, from Jonathan Hickman, but the art by Matteo Della Fonte is actually pretty solid. I like the artwork. This is mostly about Richard Rider reconnecting with the world mind of Nova. He's the last Nova standing. He's got to take on the world mind on himself. It's just kind of alright. I don't think it's super essential to the Imperial story. In fact, it's definitely not, but like all of these Imperial tie-ins, these one-shot tie-ins, they're just setting up series to come after the conclusion of Imperial with issue number 4. So if you're a Nova fan, especially if you're a Dick Rider fan, check this book out. You might like it. Then we got Captain America issue number 3, Chip Zdarsky, Valerio Schiti. I did not like issue number 1. I gave issue number 2 a chance, liked it a little bit better. I did not like issue number 3. This book is set basically in Captain America year 1 after he is brought out of suspended animation, and in this book, because of the sliding time scale, it happens post 9/11, so the war of Afghanistan is going on. There's a new person who has been given the mantle of Captain America. Steve Rogers is having to help them. It's also tied into Latveria, and Captain America goes up against Dr. Doom in the early days of his career, and it just doesn't work for me. It's like everything I don't like about most Captain America runs. Just the same thing over and over, and Captain America delivering speeches being like, I may not know America anymore, but I know America within my heart. I may not have a place in this new world, but I will find a place. Boring, been there, done that, over it, I'm done. Then we got One World Under Doom, issue number 7. Can you all believe we still got 2 more issues of One World Under Doom? I know some people are liking it. It's Marvel's current big event. Dr. Doom is now the Sorcerer Supreme. He's taken over the world. He's the Emperor of the world. I think Doom, Victor, is so portrayed out of character in this series. I think it's too on the nose with what Ryan North, the writer, wants to say about maybe the current political climate in some countries, including America. That being said, it's not working for me. I think it's rather lame. I'm bored. It's been going on too long. I'm ready for this to be over. I'm a Doom head, and I think this book is a disservice to Doom. I don't like it. Then we got Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion issue number 4, the penultimate issue of this book that it's a decent enough book, but now that we're 4 issues in, this is not an Ultimate Spider-Man book. This is a Miles Morales book. Right now, it's written by Dennis Camp, who I love, and it's written by Cody Ziegler, who is the writer of the Miles Morales book. His younger kid sister has been kidnapped and is missing in the Ultimate Universe. So Miles is there trying to find her. I have liked how this book, in the first issue, it deals with him and the new Ultimate Spider-Man. Then the second issue dives into some Ultimate stuff. Then we're into some Ultimate X-Men stuff. It's nice to see more of a cohesive nature from this new Ultimate Universe, but I'm ready for this to wrap up. And overall, it does not feel super significant to the ongoing story of the Maker and the Ultimate Universe, though that could change in the last issue. We shall see. I will read it, but this issue in particular, my interest was starting to wane just a bit. Then we got Ultimate Wolverine issue number 9. Y'all, I don't like this book. I really don't. I've been struggling with this book. It's written by Chris Condon with artwork by Alessandro Capicchio, who I love. Excuse me, I love Capiccio's artwork, but it's not working for me here. It's all right. I don't care about the story. I don't care about this iteration of Wolverine. There's some interesting bits there, but for the most part, it's just not working for me. And I'm finding it difficult to let go of any Ultimate book because I'm like, we're about to hit Ultimate Endgame. I could at least keep up with everything until then. But honestly, I feel like this is more just, yo, Ultimate books are doing well sales-wise. Let's do an Ultimate Wolverine. What if he's the Winter Soldier? They play with that for a little bit, then they get quickly away from that. Now it's just kind of aight. It's not really working for me. Let's jump over to Image. And from Image Comics, we have Transformers issue number 24. This is kind of like a bittersweet type thing. First of all, this issue was awesome. Sadly, it's the final issue written by Daniel Warren Johnson with artwork by Jorge Corona. Now, I am excited to have Robert Kirkman and artist Dan Mora come in for a new direction in issue number 25. And this does very satisfyingly end the 2-year arc from Daniel Warren Johnson. Megatron versus Optimus Prime with the fate of the Earth in the palm of their hands. I loved it. It's big, it's explosive. There's some big, powerful moments here. The artwork is great. Transformers, since it started 2 years ago, has been one of my absolute favorite books, and it continues to be so. So a little bit bittersweet because I am very sad to see this Daniel Warren Johnson run end, but at the same time, I love for a book to have a completion, right? If that makes sense. And now a different team gets to come on and take this book forward into the future. This was an awesome finale to everything that Daniel Warren Johnson has been leading up to. Jorge Corona. I was nervous when Johnson left doing the art duties after the first 6 issues, but Corona has been just as great. He's excelled. He has soared, and I think he's even strengthened as a storyteller through the pages of Transformers. I loved this issue. I'm just sad to see this run end. Then we got Feral issue number 16 from Tony Fleece, Trish Forstner, and Tone Rodriguez. Y'all, I love this book so freaking much. I really do. It's a zombie story, which has been done to death, but this is from the perspective of cats. Not the musical Cats, but actual cats. In this one, they're kind of doing a Dawn of the Dead type thing. You know, like in that movie, they decide, yo, we can go into this mall, and like we have all of our supplies, everything there. It's that same story, but with a pet store, right? Like a Pet Smart or a Pet City or something like that, right? And then, of course, as happens in these zombie-type tales, things go wrong. Other people don't get along with our main cast of characters, but I'm loving it. It's taking everything that I got bored with from zombie fiction, and it's recontextualizing it and making me care about these characters and making these zombie tropes feel new and relevant again. Now, maybe it's because the characters are cats, and I'm a big cat guy, but I think it's also just because they're well-written characters that resonate fully. So Tony's writing the hell out of this. Trish and Tone are doing the hell out of their artwork on this one. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, you got the horror homage B covers, which I cannot stop collecting. This one, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi. Come on, y'all. That's amazing. Feral is amazing. Then we got Redcoat here with issue number 14. Another great issue of Redcoat out of all of the Ghost Machine, the Unnamed Universe books that Jeff Johns has been spearheading. Redcoat in the beginning was my least favorite. Loved Geiger, adored Junkyard Joe, but Redcoat to me, it didn't quite work. I think this roguish character that the Redcoat wasn't something that Jeff Johns really excelled at writing. That has changed. It's changed over the last year. If you've been paying attention to this show, you know that I've been really coming around on this book. Redcoat issue number 14 was a great, solid, one-and-done story of Redcoat during the end of the War of 1812, which actually lasted longer than 1812, but if you remember that, it's kind of like the American Revolution Part 2, right? That's kind of what it is, but they burn our Capitol down, and as the White House is burning, there's the famous story of Dolly Madison going in there to save the painting of George Washington. This is that story, but Redcoat is involved. It also serves as a prelude of sorts to the upcoming first ghost story by Brad Meltzer. And I love the setup. I love the single issue vibe of this, and I really thought it was solid. And I think that Redcoat has definitely become one of my most looked forward to unnamed universe Ghost Machine books out there. Redcoat frickin' rocks, y'all. Really does. The Unchosen is here with issue number 3. Don't hear a lot of people talk about this one. It's written and illustrated by David Marquez. It's a pretty solid book. I really loved issue 1 and 2, and I just as much enjoyed issue number 3. This is a world where magic exists, but there's also different factions, and there's a war going on, and it's about a character who finds out she's got this gift of the word, and she gets kind of snatched up by this school, right? Like, think Hogwarts, but maybe a little bit different. And they're like, yo, they're explaining to her what everything is, and then she finds out in this issue that maybe things are a little bit different. So already by issue number 3, we are questioning what we've already been told and setting up some really interesting revelations to come. Issue number 3 was great. Great artwork, amazing coloring, and a really solid story, and really in-depthly written characters. I think The Unchosen is an underappreciated book of 2025. We're only 3 issues in. We'll see where it goes. Then we got Blood Squad 7, issue number 10. Joe Casey doing for Youngblood what he did with Wildcats when he kind of respun the narrative of Wildcats in Wildcats 3.0. Of course, he did work on Volume 2 as well, but this is him doing the same thing for Youngblood. Now, he can't use the actual Youngblood characters, so he's created new characters to be kind of stand-ins for those, but this is really taking the core concept of what Youngblood was supposed to be back in the 90s and really elevating it and making it work in 2025. The global geopolitical war scene is being ramped up here. Our characters are in the midst of it. There's a lot of political intrigue. There's a lot of interesting things that are laid out here. The artwork is solid, and that cover by Jim Rugg is absolutely amazing. Then we got Spawn issue 368. This is an epilogue to Hell Hath Arisen, in which Nyx, the new ruler of Hell, has sent this giant hellish kaiju out into the world. Spawn and his people defeated it in the last issues. This is an epilogue because within defeating this giant kaiju hell monster, the Spawns have revealed themselves to the public. It's crazy that we're 368 issues into Spawn, and that's just now happening. But this was actually a pretty cool setup issue for where Spawn's going to go in the foreseeable future. I liked it. I thought the art was good. I thought the story was good. Kind of pulled me back in because I was losing some of my interest. Then we got King Spawn issue number 49. This and the previous issue have pulled me back into King Spawn. I felt like this book was losing its direction, right? But now I know that this book is trying to go self-contained, one-and-done stories with a definitive horror vibe. Now, I had writer Rory McConville on the channel a couple weeks ago. I directly asked him this. He did explain that that was what was going on, and I think this book has found its identity, and it has found its purpose. Also, the artwork is really freaking good. Dudu Pensica, Dudu? Isn't Dudu? Dudu. Let's just say Dudu, because saying Dudu is crazy. I like the art. I like the story. Spawn shows up in this dude's mind because he's been taken over by a demon. Spawn's like, yo, you're possessed by a demon. I'm in your mind. In your mindscape. We gotta take care of things. I liked it. A good, self-contained, solid, horror-inspired and centric issue of King Spawn. Let's jump over to Mad Cave. We got Racer X issue number 1. Now, we are only 2 issues into the new Speed Racer book by David Pepose, which is absolutely phenomenal. David Tinto on the artwork. I love it. I love it. 2 issues in. I'm loving Speed Racer. Racer X. Do we need a Racer X book? After reading this, yes. Yes, I definitively think we do, because this book was awesome. Now, we all know who the secret identity of Racer X is. If you don't know, I'm not going to spoil it, but this book goes ahead and just like, it's not a big reveal. You all know who Racer X is, so it's his story. it's his origin, how he gets wrapped up in this crime organization, his dreams of being a racer in the Formula X racing or whatever it's called, and of course, his connection to the Speed Racer family. Racer X issue number 1 was pretty solid. I liked the art, I liked the story. It's written by Mark Russell, and it doesn't, unlike a lot of Mark Russell stuff, it doesn't really go out of its way to like be theme or message first. It just tells a really great story in a really solid way, and it ties in perfectly to the current ongoing Speed Racer run, which is great. Then we got It Killed Everyone But Me, issue number 1. This is from Ryan Parrott, Letizia Condonici. The art's fine. The art is very reminiscent of Werther Dell'Edera from Something Is Killing the Children. And the story is okay. It's about this woman who is like the sole survivor of some kind of murder spree or something that happened. She has some kind of a connection to it. It's a little bit supernatural in tone, and the coloring is great. The color choices and the color palette is good. The art's solid. The story is just okay, though. It didn't completely pull me in. Now these murders have happened again. Is she connected to it? What's going on there? There is a little bit of a mystery, a little bit of intrigue, but I don't know if it really sold me enough to want to come back for issue number 2. Then we got Don't Forget Your Briefcase, issue number 3. This is also from Mad Cave Studio. Philip Seavey and Elliot Rahal. I really loved the first issue. I thought the second issue was just okay. In the third issue, another step down. It's all right. It's an interesting premise. There's a new president who's been appointed. I mean, it's his inauguration. He immediately gets assassinated. The woman who is now in the Secret Service, who's in charge of the nuclear football or the suitcase or whatever, it gets swapped out for this woman's kid's briefcase. So now this kid has the briefcase. He's out there running around. Turns out his mom, she is kind of lying a little bit. She might be a Russian spy. So it's got a lot of cool intrigue and things happening. It's not a bad book, but it's just kind of all right. It's kind of like middle of the road, and I mean that as a compliment. Then we got Murder Podcast, issue number 1, a new book from Ignition Press. Ignition Press is really making a push towards comic shops to really deliver something interesting and new, and they want the comic shops to pay attention. They're offering returnability. They have lots of cool stuff. This book comes with like some earplugs you can wear, because the idea behind this book is if you listen to this certain murder podcast, a podcast about murders and real life serial killers and shit, like if you listen to it, you start killing people. And it's about a group of friends surrounding this concept. It's written by Jeremy Hahn. It's okay. It didn't completely work for me. The artwork was decent enough. Excuse me, I'm very, very gassy tonight. Taco Bell has their Y2K Decades menu that debuted today, so I had a couple chili cheese burritos, so please excuse me. That being said, Murder Podcast issue number 1 was just okay. It didn't really fully deliver and hook me in. It was okay. It was interesting, but definitely a publisher that I think we need to pay attention to as the months progress, because there's a lot of stuff from a lot of interesting creators coming out. Murder Podcast has a cool premise. It just doesn't fully connect with me on its first issue. However, it does get the smell of the week. It smells like, I don't know how to describe it, but it smells like a tangy-ass comic book page. Does that make sense? All right, let's jump over to Dynamite. We got Blue Falcon and Dynamite issue number 1, written by Jimmy Palmiotti, with artwork by Pasquale Quilano. Artwork's fine, story's fine, it's okay. I'm not super connected or into the character of Blue Falcon and Dynamite, and I feel like if you're not connected to that character like I am, or like I'm not as well, it's not turning us into a fan of Blue Falcon or really getting us excited. It's more of a gritty take on it, I guess, but at the same time, it still has that Hanna-Barbera hopefulness to it. I liked the art, I liked the story, I liked the John Wick aspect of it, which my man John Cole mentioned to me, very John Wick at times. I get it. I would be interested to see where this book goes, but for the most part, it didn't really work, and definitely do not be expecting what we're getting from books like Space Ghost from Blue Falcon. That being said, Space Ghost is here with issue number 2 of Season 2, Volume 2 of Space Ghost, written by David Pepose with artwork by Jonathan Lau. Still just slaying this book. It's absolutely fantastic, and David Pepose and Jonathan Lau, the team on Space Ghost have really cemented themselves as some of the best self-contained, one-and-done superhero comics out there with a plan building forward. If that makes sense. We saw that within the Volume 1, right? It all started as self-contained stories focusing in on different villains, and it all culminated in a really exceptional grand finale that also set up Season 2. Now, basically, we get the femme fatale of the Space Ghost universe. Space, kind of like Batman and Selina, he gives her a little bit more leeway than he probably should, and she pulls one over again and again. But to me, what really makes this book work is the focus on superhero action and the characters and their relationships, their complicated relationships to one another. It really feels thought out, it's deserved. Everything that happens in this book is earned, if that makes sense. This is one of the best superhero comics out there. Space Ghost, also that Michael Cho cover, gets the cover of the week. I mean, just look at it, y'all. It's absolutely glorious. Then we got Thundercats here with issue number 18. Declan Shalvey's still doing a solid job with Thundercats. Lion-O's been missing a little bit too long. I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed with that. But it's giving us time to spin with the other Thundercats. Panthro, Chitara, Tigra, and now Bengali. Bengali is back. We saw him in the Thundercats Lost book. Now he's here. He's got a relationship, or a previous relationship, with Chitara, who is now formulating a new, vibrant relationship with Tigra. It's causing this love triangle. I'm liking this book. It does have a slow pace and build to it, but I feel like it's about to really explode, and all of the forces surrounding the Thundercats are really starting to feel dire, epic in scale, and ready to explode. Thundercats issue number 18, super solid. Let's jump over to Bad Idea. And from Bad Idea, we have Survive issue number 1. This is a brand new book from Bad Idea, who's finally allowing their comic books to be in every comic book shop with no restrictions. I think that's a rather good idea. However, I will think that Survive is just kind of okay. It's written by Robert Venditti, artwork by Doug Braithwaite, the coloring by somebody Rodriguez is actually pretty solid. I can't get the first name here. What's the first name? Diego Rodriguez. I like the coloring. I like the artwork. The story is just kind of okay. This book, for its price, which is $5.99, reads rather quick, and it just doesn't feel like there's enough content for the $6 price tag. That being said, it's okay. It's about a dude on a submarine. The submarine gets hit by something, like a depth charge or something. It's sinking. Everybody's dying. This dude's trying to figure out stuff. There's a twist at the end. It's tied in. It's all right. It's okay. It's decent, but it doesn't really stand out. And in this world today, in 2025, where there's a lot of new number ones every single week, you really got to stand out, because there's a lot of competition, and not just competition from comics, but from all over the place. Survive, just kind of okay. However, Cul-de-sac issue number 2 was fire. Cul-de-sac issue number 1 by Mike Carey and artist Jonathan Wayshak was my pick of the week when it first came out. First of all, it didn't have a lot of competition when issue number 1 came out. It also really leaned heavily my thoughts on it, on the artwork. The artwork in this book is amazing. Think like early Sandman, Sam Keith, gritty, textured artwork. It's on newsprint paper. The coloring, though, still works. It's got a great smell. It's got amazing stuff on the artwork. It's a vampire book, so it's about this group of vampire kids who in the first issue just find out from their parents, who are suburban families, that they are vampires. Then, as the kids are out there trying to deal with this mentally, right, a group of vampire hunters show up and kill all of their parents. So now this is about the kids on the run, trying to figure out what to do, being hunted by these dudes. The story is solid. It's good. The artwork is amazing. Look at that cover. Look at the texture. Look at the grit. The artwork is amazing. This is worth it for the art alone. What is the price on this book? $6. There's a little bit more to this book story-wise and also artistically than, say, Survive. It works for me. Cul-de-sac issue number 2, pretty much just as good as issue number 1. From Dark Horse Comics, we have Powers 25, issue number 1. Brian Michael Bendis, Michael Avon Oeming. A little bit of a history lesson. In 1999, Powers debuted. I was just becoming a fan of Brian Michael Bendis. So this is before Ultimate Spider-Man. This is before Hellspawn and Salmon Twitch. This is before New Avengers and what Bendis would be mostly known for. Powers is a crime fiction noir set within a superhero universe with a Batman Bruce Timm animated type art style. And I loved the first run of Powers. I loved it. I was there at day 1. I bought it. I was becoming a Bendis fan because of books like Torso, Jinx, those chili cheese burritos, and Goldfish. By the way, those chili cheese burritos, last year on my way to Scarefest, I found a Taco Bell in Kentucky that still had the chili cheese burrito on their menu, and it was glorious. This new one that I got at my shop here, weak. Mostly tortilla, which kind of pissed me off. So, yeah, that wasn't cool. That being said, Powers 25, issue number 1. So Powers is back. Now, Powers had a few different relaunches over the years, and I feel like each of them hit less and less and less. And I feel like Bendis isn't quite the writer that he was. Oeming is still a solid artist, but there is still some magic missing between the two here at Powers 25 compared to Powers number 1 from 25 years ago. Now, obviously, that's going to happen, but I was excited to read this, and I guess it is a decent enough jumping on point, but for the most part, I don't think it's going to work for many people. I think if you're the most hardcore Powers fan and you have every single issue in your collection, I sold all mine years ago, except for my issue number 11, which is the white cover. Maybe it's issue 10 or 12, but I had Michael Avon Oeming do me a sketch of Zora, I believe. So that's pretty cool. Still have that in my collection. And I have an issue number 1 signed by Bendis. So I still have those. Anyway, I love the original Powers run, but this did not recapture that magic, and it just kind of felt like nothing else was working for Bendis or Oeming right now, so they just felt like to go back to it. Or it could just be because they realized it was the 25th anniversary. There you go. Another old school book that I used to love that came back this week is Nocturnals. Here with the Sinister Past issue number 1. I love Nocturnals, Dan Brereington. I've met him, got him to sign my hardcovers. He's a super cool dude. I love his artwork. The artwork is just as brilliant and strong as it's ever been. But I have not read an issue of Nocturnals in forever, y'all. And I felt rather lost. So I'm very excited that this book is back, but I need to do a little bit of a rereading before I dive back into this one. So I think if you're not connected to this book already, you'll love and appreciate the artwork, but I think the story and the characters are going to lose you a little bit because I am familiar with this story and these characters, and I was a little bit lost. I mean, I was reading this book back when it was an Oni Press book. The Gun Witch is the shit, by the way, so there you go. Then we get Hellboy in Love, The Art of Fire, issue number 2 of 2, and it's alright, it's fine. This is not the book to turn you into a Hellboy fan. If you want to get into Hellboy, read Hellboy, Seed of Destruction. It's one of the greatest comic books of all time. That will turn you into a Hellboy fan, or you just are not going to be a fan of Hellboy. That being said, if you are a Hellboy fan, it's always nice to have more His Name Was Hellboy content on comic book shelves. Art solid, story solid, it wraps up very quick. Not a lot to it. It's going to continue on in another Hellboy in Love short-ass miniseries. Then we got Godzilla issue number 2, part of the Kai-Sei era, where IDW was attempting to do a shared universe of sorts of Godzilla books. So far, 2 number 1 issues have been released, Godzilla issue number 1 and Godzilla Escape from the Dead Zone issue number 1, and I like it. And one of the conceits of this series and this universe, if you will, is that the kaiju energy, the Kaisai energy, can also imprint and infuse human beings. So this is about a team of people that are put together with superpowers. Some of them superpowers that are given to them by the same energy that gives the kaiju their abilities. And it's them as a team. Issue number 1 was solid. Issue number 2, not so much. Didn't have enough Godzilla for me. It really didn't. And I love the artist here. I can never say his name right. It's Nikola Zazmeshia. I love the artwork, but it was focusing maybe too much on the humans and less on the kaiju. And I don't know. That's the whole point. It's fine. I will read issue number 3 to see how it develops. Then we got Conan the Barbarian from Titan Comics, issue number 24. Jim Zub is killing it in the pages of Conan the Barbarian. And the art in this book is amazing. So we got a new artist on this storyline. The artist's name is something. The artist's name is Fernando Dagnino. I freaking love the art in this book. This is ending the story of Conan teaming up with Zula. I believe that's the character's name. Setting up this whole like serpent story on the horizon. Man, I love this book so much. I've said before that this new Conan run, Savage Sword and the Barbarian book, make me feel like when I was reading the Savage Sword of Conans out of my stepdad's closet back in the 80s, right? That is still true. It's sexy, it's violent, it's brutal, and it's incredibly cool. But it's old school mixed with new school, and it works so well. This is the best modern Conan book I've ever read. And when I say modern Conan book, I mean post 1987. This is the shit. And if you're not reading Conan the Barbarian, you're not reading one of the best comics on shelves every single month. From Ahoy, we got the Toxic Crusaders issue number 1. I'm quite a fan of the Toxic Crusaders, so I wanted to check this out, and it's all right. The artwork is cool. Artwork is great. I loved it. I love some of the new interpretations of the Toxic Crusaders and their villains. I liked the book. I thought it was all right, but it didn't completely win me over. I think if you're a Toxie fan, if you're a Crusaders fan, you definitely want to check this book out. But I think that if this is your first foray into this world, I don't think you're going to like it as much. So I thought it was all right. And then Valiant. All New Harbinger, issue number 1. So Valiant is now published by Alien Books, who I think is being distributed through IDW or something. Anyway, they've done a few new relaunches. They're basically trying to do their own Ultimate and Absolute universe where it's the familiar concepts but done in a different way. Bloodshot number 1 did not work for me. Shadow Man number 1 did not work for me. All New Harbinger did not work for me at all. I just don't like it. I don't like these new Valiant books. I wasn't on board with it. It does your typical, like, inciting incident. We got to introduce the members of this team and set up this world. And it does that fine, but it doesn't do it in any different way than any other half-assed comic does. And that's what these new Valiant books feel like to me. They feel half-assed. And you know what? I don't like a half-assed comic. I don't like a half-assed chili cheese burrito, and I definitely don't like a half-assed comic. Alright, so now it's time to rate these things. There's also a new hardcover of a Brian K. Vaughan book called Spectators that came out this week. I haven't gotten a chance to read that. There's some other trade paperbacks, but I didn't bring any of them here to show off. So out of 5 possible you digs, what do I rate these books? All New Harbinger gets 1.5 you digs. Toxic Crusaders gets 2.5. Conan the Barbarian gets 4.5. Godzilla number 2 gets 2.5. Hellboy in Love gets a 2. Nocturnal Sinister Path gets a 3. Powers 25 gets a 2. Cul-de-sac gets a 4. Survive gets a 2.5. Thundercats gets a 2.5. Space Ghost gets a 4. Blue Falcon and Dynamite gets a 3. Murder Podcast gets a 2. Don't Forget Your Briefcase gets a 2. It Killed Everyone But Me gets 1.5. Racer X gets a 3.5. King Spawn gets a 3.5. Spawn gets a 3. Blood Squad 7 gets a 3.69. Unchosen gets a 3.5. Redcoat gets a 4.5. Feral gets a 4.5. Transformers gets 5, ya digs. Ultimate Wolverine gets 2.5. Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion gets 2.5. One World Under Doom gets 1. Hate that book. Captain America gets 1.3. 69, I guess. Imperial War Nova Centurion gets 2. Undead Iron Fist gets 2.5. X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha gets a 2.5. Punisher gets a 3.5. Batman Gotham by Gaslight League for Justice gets a 2.5. Green Lantern Corps gets a 3. Aquaman gets a 2. Action Comics gets a 2.5. Batman Dark Patterns gets a 5. Superman Kryptonite Spectrum issue number 2 gets a 4.5. Red Hood gets a 3. Court gets a 4. I actually like that book more than I thought. And Absolute Batman gets a 5. 5, you digs. Perfect score there for me. So that's what I read. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm digging. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. This has been the weekly comic book review. Thank you all for watching. Station, keep on reading. Pop, pop, boom. No, I don't want no scrubs. Scrub is the guy that can't take no love from me. Hanging in the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me.